Here, in this tea meditation, dear all, as you sip your tea, please take a moment to remember the profound grace of birth and nurturing, the immeasurable love and sacrifice of your two parents, your father and your mother. Let each of you quietly reflect. 15, 20, 30, or 35 years ago, or even more. Your parents, too, were once young, 18 or 20 years old, just as you are today, full of life and energy, overflowing with dreams, and hopes to build a good and meaningful life for themselves, their families, and society. Now, my dear ones, think about it. In just the blink of an eye, 15 years have already passed. Our parents, they were once like the beautiful springtime when we were first born. Then came summer, the season of youth, just like being 18 or 20, full of vitality and dreams, just like all of you sitting here today. But you know, as bamboo grows old and new shoots sprout, so it is with the natural law of life. Our parents cannot stay forever at the age of 18 or 20. Once they started a family and brought us into this world, they had to face all the worries and burdens of life. And so, our parents have grown old very quickly, especially those of you who live in the countryside. Have you ever noticed how fast your parents have aged? It feels like just yesterday when our parents and we were happily gathered around the family table, sharing a warm meal together. Sending their child off to the capital, to the city, to begin studies at a university, college, or vocational school, the school you worked so hard to be admitted to. Just 1 or 2 years ago, our parents hardly had a single hair on their heads, or if they did, only a few. But now, 2 or 3 years later, while you have been away in the city studying, your parents at home have to work twice as hard, even much harder, just to earn enough so that their beloved son or daughter can live and study in the flourishing city, keeping up with friends and classmates, and receiving the best education, the finest knowledge and values from the capital, the heart of our nation. especially for those of you from the countryside, whose families may have more difficult circumstances. If you take a moment to look deeply, you will see how hard your parents have been working. They toil day and night, waking up early, staying up late, working tirelessly, just to earn enough money so that we can study and live in the city. Yesterday, I happened to speak with one of the aunts who works as a laborer here at our Kai Nguyen Pagoda. She was so happy when she saw many young people arriving at the temple since yesterday afternoon. She asked me, "Dear Master, what event is our pagoda going to hold? Today I see so many young people come here. Yesterday, about 30 to 50 young people came early to prepare for today's retreat. So she asked me like that, and I said, most of them are university and college students, or those who have just graduated and begin to work, come to pagoda to prepare for tomorrow's retreat. Nearly 2,000 young people, students from universities, colleges, and vocational schools in and around Hanoi have come to take part in this event. And she asked how long the retreat would last. I said, it just lasts 2 days, on Saturday and Sunday. These are the students' days off. Normally, the pagoda holds one retreat each month. But after COVID-19 epidemic in recent years, our temple's Buddhist affairs have become much busier. Therefore, from Tet holiday to now, the pagoda has just held the second retreat. And so long time, there was a retreat for university students, with such a lots people participating. Over 15 years ago, there was once a retreat where about 3,000 students joined. After that, following retreats just has 1,000 or 700 participants. Some retreats had only 400 to 500 students. This retreat has so many people enrolled, and the number of participants is over 1,600 according to report of the organizing team. And she said that, so regret. I didn't know early. If I had known, I would have made a phone call and encouraged my son enroll participate the retreat. We live in a place where there is no chance to access to Buddhism because we are an ethnic minority and were born in a remote area of the country. We live in Lei Shou, a remote area of Lei Shou province. So we don't know about Buddhism, nor hear about Buddhism. Today, I have a chance to work at your pagoda, Master. She works as a builder, currently doing ironwork and formwork at the Great Lecture Hall in Kai Nguyen Pagoda. She said regretfully, if only I had known earlier, I would have called my son. He's a first-year university student in Hanoi. She also shared, our family is very poor. When we decided to send our son to study in Hanoi, my husband and I struggled deeply in our hearts. weighing every possibility. My husband said, "We're poor. How can we afford his education? If we send him to university, our 2 younger children will have to drop out of school so that we can support the eldest one to study in Hanoi." But I said, "We've suffered our whole lives, haven't we? If we don't let our son study, he'll end up living a hard life just like us." Our son is very obedient and studies very well. The only opportunity for our children to have a better future is to let them go to school. She said that she and her husband struggled a lot in their thoughts. There were even times when they argued and raised their voices. Because if they decided to send their eldest son to university, they were afraid that their 2 younger children would have to drop out of school. Only by doing that, can they afford for their oldest son to study. Both of them don't have stable jobs. And luckily, she also shared that it was so lucky, truly lucky. Since my eldest son began studying, I found a stable job. Although I worked as a builder, but my job is stable. My salary, without calculating basic cost, is enough to not only nurture my oldest son go to school in Hanoi, but also raise our 2 younger children and send them to school in my country. Through that case, you see, for all of us here, I think every person has a different circumstance. No one is totally the same. Some of you are lucky to born in a wealthy family, having sufficient possessions. You don't need to worry about the lack of money for studying. For the people whose families have good condition, the monthly tuition and living expenses are not a large amount for them. It is around 3 million or 10 million VND, or even more. But it is not much for them, who come from financially well-off families, possessing an iPhone 14 or iPhone 15 on the hands, or many expensive motorbikes worth hundreds of million VND. When you are still university students, however, it is truly difficult. For some of you who come from families less fortunate, and materially deprived, your parents have to send you to the capital to study, and I understand how hard that is. When I was a student, I myself experienced such hardship. Therefore, through this retreat, I hope all of you will learn to appreciate, cherish, and treasure the sacrifices your parents have made